Hi everyone, I thought it was about time I put another YouTube up. I've been just popped down to the shed and I laid my hands on this rather old pump. I think I've got two more of these upstairs, probably in nicer looking state, but this one's going, so let's have a little look at it. I'll get a bit closer to it. My first encounter with these was when I was a kid in Wimbledon. We had a very good aquarium shop. Some of you may remember it. Stanley Road in Wimbledon. It's called Wimbledon Aquaria. It's a very good shop, and in those days you could count aquarium shops on more or less half one hand. There were so few. Now there's many more, but anyhow, they had one of these going. It's an air pump, which I should have said. I'm jumping about telling you what it is. It's an air pump for an aquarium. They had one in the shop. Well, it was actually in the shop window, but it was only standing there because it was providing air for the tanks that were on display in the shop. And that was a high flow. I don't think they're made now. There's a close-up of the label. It was made by Medcalf Bros. I think you've got the full address there, hopefully. I'll hold it on there a couple of minutes. High flow. I understand these were actually based on another pump of similar design. It's I say simply. It is simply, let me turn it off. It simply works like the disc that goes around on an electric meter. If you look at an electric meter, you have a disc that rotates. Well, this is more or less the same. You've got a coil in the back of there, inside is a coil. This is a magnetic metal. It's not a magnet, but it's a ferrous metal which be attracted from a magnet, and the mains induction, or the mains frequency I should say, causes it to circulate once it's on. It's self-starting, and as soon as you plug it in or turn it on, it goes. Now each side you've got two sets of pistons. We're on one side here. You've got a crank there, the pistons inside there, cylinder, and two outlets for air. They're very good pumps. They're a bit expensive to run compared to the modern ones, but nevertheless they do keep going. I don't know if I have got a couple of other ones of these. I don't even know if I've got the early one that has a different type of plunger or piston, but this is one you generally see if you're going to see them. They made, as far as I can remember, 3 sizes. This one I think is the middle one. He's got it on there. No, I can't see it written on there, but as far as I know, there was 3 sizes they made, and they varied in as much as you could either have the pistons on both sides or just on the one side. This one is rather lucky, it's on both sides, and it's in good working order. Please excuse the fact that it looks a bit tatty, but nevertheless it does work. Could do with a good clean. As I say, I've just found it. Well, I knew I had it, but I picked it up out of the shed, and there we are. You can oil these up in there. You've got a little oil wick in both sides. Drop a tiny bit of machine oil in there. Also the pistons they, as you can see, they move to and fro, so the bearing surface, which is under there and under there, give that a little bit of oil, not too much, just a little bit, and also in the piston itself, but once again not too much. These can be taken off. They're on 2 screws that holds that as in place, because spares, as I say, now spares are probably not available. I don't think they're even made anymore. There's the base. We've got Medcalf Bros Limited, Potters Bar, Hertfordshire, and you've got your code, England, actually made over here. That cover is a cover over the coil. It's simply a coil, no electronics, it's just wired straight to the coil. Simple, yet they go. And one of these could virtually go for ages. I knew of someone that had one of these on a garden pond in Cheam. He was actually a cactus friend. Unfortunately, he's no longer with us, but he was interested in fish and cacti. And at the end of his garden, which was an enormous garden, he had some ponds and a greenhouse, obviously, but on the ponds they were fed by this type of pump. It had worn out by then. It was a bit, this part was all loose, but he had had it a long time. So they did give good service and lasted for ages. What I'm trying to find is one of the original ones that these were based on, but they are a real collector's item. They just don't turn up. If they do turn up, well, the one that I found was actually broken and the bits were missing, so it was not good. It looked a bit like it had a big wheel on the top, whereas this got a wheel. These other ones were built like a Ferris wheel, if you like. They looked a bit like a Ferris wheel. But as I say, they are difficult to find. So if someone sees one of these at a boot sale, my advice would be to grab it, because it is quite rare. Anyway, I'm going to just put it on again. As quickly as this, it starts up. If I can get the thing to turn it on, went click, and off she goes. You can actually hear the air coming out. That tests whether it's actually working. You block it up and it'll slow down. These are quite a nice thing, but as I say, they're an old hat now. Possibly only the old fish keepers will remember these. So many good things have gone. This is one of them. And just before I clear down, let me show you something that I've used to power it up from the mains. I took this out of the garage. There was no plug on it, and I thought, oh blow, I'm going to have to put a 13 amp plug on. I'm not going to show naughty things by sticking wires straight into the socket, which is not to be recommended. Well, this block, so really you've got 2 U-tubes in one. It's a test adapter. It's fused in. There's a fuse inside to connect press buttons. I know they've got like a screw slot, but you just press them. You've got your neutral, earth and live, and this was made by a company which our older members will probably recognise, Loblite or Loblite. And these are blooming handy things. You just stick the wires in, they're perfectly safe. At the back you've got your normal 13 amp plug, which today would be legal really, because the pins are not shrouded in black insulation, so officially that would be outlawed. But as far as I'm concerned, use your loaf and it'll be quite safe. So there we are. What's that say on there? It's all blurry. Socket must be switched off when connecting or disconnecting appliance. Well, that is common sense. So there we are. That is it. One nice high flow air pump for an aquarium. This one, you can obviously would serve officially 4 air stones. You could divide those off as well. And if someone has got one of these and wants to keep it going, a little bit of oil, as mentioned earlier, not too much, a bit of engine oil, or even clock oil. I tend to use clock oil. Or you can initially start off with a bit of WD, whatever it's called. I never get that name right. WD-40, which is quite good. That'll move any solids and stuff that might have built up, and then apply a little bit of engine oil. When I say engine oil, I don't mean the stuff that goes in your car. It's a thin oil or clock oil, which I use. Anyhow, once again, thanks for looking. Any comments please make. Please subscribe, and I'll catch you again with a video. Don't know what it'll be on, but you never know. Whatever turns up will probably be shown if it's of interest. Anyhow, thanks again. Obviously, any questions please ask and I'll try and get the answer to you. Thanks again. Thank you.